you are skeptical until you experience it. And then you're like, oh, okay, like, I get it. Just even like with manifesting, I thought it was so stupid. I was like, what? You're just going to like think about things and like believe that the universe is going to support you. That was so stupid. And then it's like, oh, I experience it now. I understand it now.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I'm your host. My name is Karolina, and I am the Connection Catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Maegan Aleece, the RTT Therapist, the clinical hypnotherapist, and the spiritual teacher. Welcome to the show, Maegan. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing so good. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm just so aligned with your beautiful intention for this lifetime of yours.
Amazing. I am so grateful that you agreed to come on the podcast because we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. And I would love to start with a little bit of your backstory. How did you get to be a hypnotherapist? Why did you choose this specific path? And also, what has brought you to the path of spiritual teacher? That's what I'm actually the most excited about to hear because, yeah, I'm all about like spirituality and awakening and all this stuff. So
Yeah.
please share your story with us.
Yes, definitely. So actually, it all started with a spiritual awakening. I was going through mental health struggles with anxiety and exercise addiction and poor self-esteem, lack of confidence, codependency issues. Like, it was not an enjoyable time in my life. And call it God, call it the universe. I'm still working out the terms that I connect with, but I'll use those two terms interchangeably as a higher energy, higher power, the unseen. Was I was gifted and guided to hypnotherapy to heal, overcome the mental health struggles. And the beautiful thing about hypnotherapy is there's actually a really big spiritual element to it, even though it is very rooted in science. But when you can bring science and spirituality together in union, in harmony, that's the magic. That's the union. Just like everything in life is union, masculine and feminine, night and light, like day and night, and light and darkness. So honestly, I was so divinely guided to hypnotherapy, to overcome, to heal, where I just fell in love with what process I went through. I did the yoga, I did the meditation, I did talk therapy, and nothing until I was literally guided to this beautiful modality worked or shifted anything within me on such a deep level. So I thank my guides. I thank God how I was guided to hypnotherapy. It wasn't that I was actually seeking that out. I followed intuitive nudges. And that's what I really feel like when you do go through that spiritual awakening, you'll either like hear where to go, or for me at the beginning, it was intuitive nudges to like go Google this and go search this and go here. And I just kept following it like it was like little breadcrumbs and clues gifted to me either from my higher self or from my guides, probably union and combination of both, to where I was meant to go. And it led me into this beautiful journey of being able to support others that are growing through, I don't say going through, you're growing through those struggles, because I have now lived experience of what people experiencing mental health struggles are feeling, thinking, experiencing, and then being on the other side of that. You can't get that from a textbook. That is lived experience in union with my training and my knowledge and my schooling.
I love how you said growing through it. I just love this term because I also feel that this is the way to go. I mean, to go through it is to grow through it, because at the end of the day, when you are experiencing something and then you find on the other side, you find yourself on the other side of it, you have just successfully overcome some shit, and so then you are expanded. Your experience is expanded. Your consciousness is expanded to the degree that you are now able to handle even more because you've already handled so much and you've already gone through so much. So you have grown, you have expanded beyond your comfort zone, beyond your probably expectations as well, because so many people cannot get out of their mental health problems. And so if you have gone through it, you have grown through it, right? So yeah, I love how you say that. This is really so good. And so what do you feel like is the most important understanding about mental health in general?
I think the most important understanding about mental health is there is always a root to it. There is a root, and that will either be subconscious limiting beliefs, that'll be subconscious programs, it'll be learned behavior. When we get caught up in how society says, oh, like just take this magic pill, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with medication, but it's not getting to the root. You're not getting to the depth of it, and you're not working through what you're actually meant to experience, learn, and shift when you just rely on something outside of you to shift what actually needs to be shifted within you. So I essentially guide people to their own health. Like one of my favorite mentors' quotes is, you are your medicine, you are your healer. But that's not pushed in mainstream. And that's why it's so great you have this podcast. It's so great you have this mission, because this needs to be the mainstream. The last resort should be the pills and the things outside of you. That should be your last resort. It should be the first, is knowing that you have the power within you to heal, to overcome. And sometimes we just need that guide. I needed so many mentors and guides to pull me out of it, but I'm so glad I did and went that route and was guided that route, so that I didn't have to rely on all these symptoms from medication and thinking I'm always going to be this way. People think I'm always going to suffer from this. No, you're not. You're going to grow from it, and you're going to keep expanding and expanding. So I think that's so important that people understand your mental health. You have the power to shift it. We just need to find the right guide, support to really shift it.
Yes, I agree with this, and I couldn't agree more, because I also work with, maybe not hypnotherapy, but also with the processes that get people to the root of a problem, which is childhood trauma, really, because
Yeah.
this is where it is, right? And
Yes.
so I'm really curious to know, do you feel like the root problem, because we're talking about the root cause, right? So
Yes.
do you feel like the root cause is always in childhood, in terms of if you work on a layer of emotion that you have right now, would
Mhm.
that be so effective as going to the root, to the very first event that you have experienced this emotion?
That's a really good question. I have found that the root is, yeah, it is childhood. It's your subconscious, what was created, and the trauma, whether it be big trauma or little t trauma, these significant events that your mind holds on to, but also delving into understanding ancestral and past life bloodline bleed through. It can go deeper than just childhood, and you might not understand like that's what's happening, but you can connect. When I have people in a theta brainwave state and we're going to the root, it's not always the first experience. It's like, okay, they have like voices in their head, and it's these voices of worry and doubt and limiting beliefs that aren't theirs. So that could have been from the ancestor like line. It could be past life. You don't need to know what it is. You just need to like see it for what it is, pull it out, and then release it. So it's not always going to be childhood. 99% of it is. But when it comes to some more energetic type issues, it'll be like what I just said.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that. But I'm really curious about your perspective on this opposite perspective to what you just said, just to bring some, interesting conversation here. Because my number one mentor, Teal Swan, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but when I did the completion process training, which is all about childhood trauma healing, she explained that, like, all past lives are our past lives in a way, because we are all one on a higher level of consciousness anyway. And if you had a past life that brought you some energy, then in this life you also had this kind of energy going on. So even though you might have had experience, let's say you might have, I don't know, shame from past life, or even from ancestors, still in this experience, in this life as a human, you had to have some kind of experience that was mirroring this energy within you. So in a way, if you go to the childhood trauma, you are still working on the same energy, because this is related to what you have been carried before. So if you go as deeply as you can into this emotion in this life, then you still will be able to process even the ancestral or past life traumas, because it's reflected in this life as well. So what do you think about this
Mm.
perspective? It's quite alternative,
Oh.
but yeah.
No, I love that. Like I was just like bringing it in through my own internal guidance system. Anytime we're offered wisdom, insights from anybody, I don't take it as holy grail. I like to run it through my own system. So it's like I hear what you're saying and I pull it down and I pull it through, and then I allow my body's wisdom to tell me what of that is truth for me and what right. So I think that's really important. People really run through things, their own internal guidance system, right? And that just speaks a lot of truth, that absolutely it'll be mirrored back. And I think that complements what I said as well. Like when I'm doing sessions with clients and these things come forward and come out, it could have been because it was activated from a past life or from ancestors, but it's coming out in the session. And again, it could be, because something happened in their childhood to like pull it out and to bring it out. And I really feel like that is very empowering as well. That that lens that you just offered, that insight, it is very, very, very powerful, because you can make those shifts in this lifetime and you can really work with the experiences you went through, what happened, and to really allow that to expand your being regardless what you brought into this life with you. So no, I really love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Thank you. That's amazing. That's amazing that it resonated with you. And I also feel like it's a very empowering perspective, because some people, if they think, oh my God, I've had like millions of lifetimes before, do I need to heal them all and so on? It's like, yeah, you might have, but if you work through some stuff, some things, some layers will peel off automatically. And it's like healing is a lifelong journey anyway. So the faster we accept it, that it's going to take ages, the better for us. And it's actually about improvement, constant improvement and growth. So I feel like it's actually a very, very beautiful journey that we are on. But I would love to come back to this topic of your story a little bit, because I'm super
Yeah.
curious about your spiritual awakening
Yes.
and what happened to really make you awakened in a way, and also what the term spiritual awakening means for you. How would you describe it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like many people have a different idea about what it is
Mm-hmm.
or how it feels or whatever, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you can really describe in words, I think. But you
Mm-hmm.
can try. But yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious about your perspective on it.
Yeah, it was when I was kind of looking into why and what happened, reflecting late years later. So 2018, that was when I went through my first spiritual awakening, and I just I felt all the ascension symptoms and was like, what is going on to me? Like, what is happening to me? I don't understand. It was like could see things in a different way. I could like feel and sense energy, and I was guided to like really look it up, and I found like a spiritual mentor, and she explained everything I was feeling, sensing, and experiencing, so that I didn't feel like I was going crazy. And that was so supportive and helpful for me, because I was like, what is actually happening to me right now? It wasn't like any sickness or anything I experienced before. And I was always into manifestation and manifesting, but I had never experienced like something so like in my body, but I knew something was happening. And I think understanding manifesting actually supported me to be like, okay, there's something bigger than just my human self, my level of what's happening and what's going on here. Like, when you're going through a spiritual awakening. And years later, it came to me that 2018 was a big trigger point year, or however people want to explain it, where a lot of light was being in like flexed into the earth, so awakening people. And I mean, I guess I was a chosen one. I didn't go on the search to have a spiritual awakening. I didn't even know what a spiritual awakening was before I went through it. I think some people like kind of can induce it in themselves if they feel called and feel pulled to. That's your journey. That's how you're supposed to go through it. For me, it was very random. It was honestly like I was picked. I was selected.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. That's so funny. Oh yeah, you are
Yeah.
gonna have all these ancestral symptoms right now.
Well, literally, it was like I really connect with being a light worker, and that's part of my soul's purpose, is to like spread light and be light and lead by example and be that light for others. And I had to become that light that I was meant to be. Like it's part of my destiny, essentially.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, and actually, when you said it is quite random, I think of my spiritual awakening and how I started my spiritual journey. Because I'm not sure if I've shared it on the podcast before, but it was quite random as well. Because how I started is that years ago I had a band with some ladies, and we were playing in this club. And there was this one guy who was our manager in a way, like he just kind of like made us play there in this club. But I really didn't resonate with him. I was just like, oh, I don't really like this person, I don't know, he's kind of like, no, I don't feel him, in a way. And then maybe 5 years later, randomly I'm just seeing this person in some primary school on some kind of dance competition in the on the gym, whatever, like very random place, a girl that I met in Estonia, she was like, yeah, come with me, we're going for some dance competition. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm there, like people are just dancing, and I see this guy. I'm like, I remember him, I even remember his name. I'm gonna go to him because I actually had a joint rolled with me, and I was just like, I don't have anyone to smoke with. I'm gonna just go to him and ask if he wants to smoke with me. Although I remember that I didn't really like him, but I'm gonna go and try anyway. And I came to him and I was like, hey, I remember you, I remember your name, and you want to smoke with me? He's like, oh my god, I was literally thinking of smoking some weed. Yes, let's do it, and so on. And then we went out, and then he started talking about auras and angels and aliens and all these things and energy. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what are you saying, man? I'm just like completely, I mean, blown away, but still skeptical, right? I'm like, whatever, I don't know what he's saying, but he said that he cured himself from incurable disease and so on and this and that. And I'm like, okay, that's, quite interesting. I was quite curious. I'm like, okay, let's meet when I'm back in Poland, because he's from my town in Poland. And let's meet there. And after maybe a month, after I came back to Poland from Berlin, we met. And then he was talking about all these things, and and it was a funny story, because one guy who was living in Berlin, he was growing his own mushrooms, and he literally gave me one mushroom for two people. But when I came to Poland, I was like, all my friends were coupled, so I was the only single person, so they didn't really want to try anything like that, and I haven't tried anything like that before. So I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do it by myself, and there's only those for one more person, and like I don't have anyone. And then this, on the second meeting with this guy, or actually third, let's say, with this guy, he's like, yeah, and psychedelics can open you up. I'm like, I actually have one mushroom for two people, and he was like, yeah, I literally thought today that I want to take some mushrooms. I'm like, what the hell? That's so random, And then my mind was going crazy. My mind was like, what the hell are you doing? But my soul was like, yes, let's do it with him. I don't know what the hell I'm getting myself into, but let's do it. And then, yeah, I had my spiritual awakening on this day, when I took the half of one mushroom. It's like such a small dose, but I literally felt so just. I felt like I'm unconditional happiness. I'm unconditional love. I'm just like completely. I was my soul in the human body. Like that's how it felt to me. And it's just such a random thing. Like the guy that I didn't even like, then I'm just randomly meeting him in some other country in some dance competition in some primary school. It's like it couldn't be more random than that. But that led me to where I'm right now, this whole journey. So it's quite funny how the universe can bring us sometimes in the most random situations and random places to where we need to be on our path and meet the people that we also need to meet, right?
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's so divine. Like we're so divinely guided, we're so divinely led, and everyone's spiritual awakening story is going to be different, right? Like you followed your intuitive nudges to be with and spend time with this guy who was probably like to expand you and to open you up to this. And for me, it was more alone. I was alone going through it, and I had to seek out support with people online, essentially, to understand what was happening and what was going on with me. I didn't really tell too many people. I told my mom, and she like freaked out because she's super religious, and that doesn't really align with some religions, even though if you can see that there's so many similarities between religion and spirituality, it's like, hello. So then it just made me like not really want to talk to people about it. And I kind of feel like I experienced that a little bit still today, because not everyone's going to understand it. Not everyone, like you said, you are skeptical until you experience it. And then you're like, oh, okay, like I get it. Just even like with manifesting, I thought it was so stupid. I was like, what? You're just gonna like think about things and like believe that the universe is gonna support you? that was so stupid. And then it's like, oh, I experience it now. I understand it now. But that too comes to like people who are just at a level of consciousness that aren't open to even like fathoming the idea or understanding of what we understand and being okay with that. So that's still something that my little human self is working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can relate to that because for me, it was only this guy that was introducing me. Now, I didn't really fully trust him at the beginning because I was just like, this is the only person. And what if it's only the substance? And what if he kind of like, controls my mind somehow?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's him,
Mm.
not the truth? Right. And so only when I had experiences with other people apart from him, I was like, okay, this is true because other people can feel it too. Other people, when I'm loving them energetically, they can also feel it. It's not only about him. So for half a year from then, I was still like very alone and very skeptical. And obviously, like I was on the path, and all my friends and family also thought I'm quite crazy because, maybe like 7 months after I had my awakening, I decided to fast for 3 weeks. And when my family like saw me after 3 weeks fast, when I'm coming home, like, hello, I haven't eaten for 3 weeks and I don't intend to eat at all for a few months now. I'm just gonna drink. They are like, what the hell is going on? And yeah, they were devastated. But of course, sometimes you need to deal with these things on your self development path, and you need to just taken on board that some people are going to leave, some people are not going to understand you, some family members are probably never going to see you as like some people think you're crazy. Like even my grandma once thought that I have like a demon inside or whatever because I was talking about spiritual things and whatever. But then after I did some healing on my family, I was the healer, and I was the mentor and whatever. But this is just the part of life. Like when you are awakening and when you expand beyond what you were, people are not used to who you are becoming now as a result of your awakening, as a result of your expansion. So you just need to be okay and accept that this is what's going to happen, and you're going to meet new people that resonate with you more in your life. And that's why also we are creating the SoulFam app, the social networking app for spiritual people, because I don't ever want anyone to feel alone on their journey, and I don't want anyone to have like kundalini awakening symptoms and not know where to go or what to do about it. That's why we want to create the place where you're gonna be able to insert your city, and you're gonna see the events in your city and find the tribe in your place, like to actually meet people in person, not only online, of course online too, because there is a lot of stuff going on, but also to have just people to hang out with, because so many people are actually lonely on this path, and it shouldn't be like that. So yeah, I just feel like it's so important to know that it's normal if people leave you or if people don't understand you, and you just need to seek out, as you say, you were looking for other people, other mentors to help you out. So yeah, this is what we need to do. Just seek outside of our comfort zone, outside of our friends and family circle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful that we can talk about this stuff. I'm just so excited when we talk about this. But I'm really curious about your symptoms that you have experienced, like because you said that you had all kinds of ascension symptoms. So
Yeah.
what did you experience and how did you deal with it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been like 4 years now since then, but it was like, it was almost like stomach aches, but not a stomach ache. It was like a third eye headache before I really knew about the third eye. Uh, it, I physically just felt my body shifting in a way that I've never felt before. And I mean, I've worked out a lot in my life, so I would feel muscle tension and like feel like muscles growing. And it was like, it wasn't even comparable to that. It was very, very different. Felt like ill. And it can, I mean, if I would have went to a doctor, they would have been like, oh, you're just like physically sick and not well. But it was, I knew it wasn't that. And that was, now that I reflect and look back, I was like, the fact that I knew, like, I just knew that wasn't what was happening and it was something different and deeper, led me to like the right people and mentors that were like literally explaining everything I was experiencing. That gave me a lot of comfort of, okay, like I'm ascending, I'm going through an awakening right now, and it's okay. And I mean, seeing the angel numbers, like repetitive numbers, for the first time in my life, that like freaked me out at first. But then when I could like decode the numbers and understand what they meant, that was very supportive of my journey. And to this day, I see different number combinations every single day for 4 years now, which is incredible. So it's like my angels or my divine, I call them like my destiny team, like giving me like a little wink, like here's your message, like this is what you need to know. So yeah, my symptoms, they went away, which was nice because it wasn't comfortable. But yeah.
That's beautiful that you, yeah, that you have be able to find the teachers and people to support you on this journey. Because yeah, some people
Yeah.
might think, "Oh my God, my body is going freaking crazy," but it's actually the
Hmm.
symptoms. And yeah, I also see numbers every single day. It's so good to
Yeah.
feel. It's almost like a hug from your guides. It's like, "Yeah, we're
Yeah.
here." It's like, "Hello,"
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just feels so nice. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful to experience it. And I have
Mhm.
another question to you because I
Mhm.
know that you use the term called soul health, and I
Yes.
am really curious about what does health mean to you, and also
Yes.
how to maintain this.
Hmm. Yeah, so soul health was really divinely dropped into my consciousness and awareness because it's not just mental health or your physical health, but it's your heart health, it's your connection to the unseen, and when you bring it all together, it's your soul health. And I find most modalities really only work with one part of you versus you as a whole. And what's really, the analogy was gifted to me, it'd be like going to the gym and just working on your triceps and wondering why not the rest of your body is experiencing health and results, is because you're only working on one little part of you when they all work together in union and in harmony. And soul health is what I do with clients, is we look at you as a whole. We heal, we bring your health together as a whole. So if I get really like logical, rational people, they're not as inclined to be open to the spiritual side of things or to like these deeper concepts, which is part of your soul health. Like you feel when your soul is not aligned to your path, and it's that brings in the whole following your heart and your dreams too. That's a huge part that will affect your mental health. If you're not following your heart, you're going to feel unaligned, misaligned. Your physical health is going to be declining because of that. It's all encompassing. So it's really important that we work with every person as your whole, all part of you, your energetic bodies, like all of it. And obviously you'll need a little bit more of one, like again, just if wherever you're at, your upper body might be more toned than your lower body, so be like, okay, put that analogy on your soul health, we're going to work more than on your energetic body, right? But still all of it together.
Mm, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I also feel like it's so important to actually encompass all parts of you, because otherwise, like, it's not the wholeness of the being that we are working on. And I feel like it's so important to actually. The mental health is so important. The emotional health is so important. The physical health is so important. All parts of us, and also the healthy relationship with your higher self, with your guides, with God, even, because I feel like religion can bring us so many unhealthy patterns when it comes to even our relationship with God, with the divine, with the universe, however you want to call it, right? So I feel like health in all these areas is so important to maintain. And so, how do you maintain it?
Yeah, great question. I every single morning give myself time to prime my mind and my body to connect to my guides, to God. I gift myself what my soul needs that morning. And it used to be very like structured and rigid because that's what my soul needed at that time. But currently now it's a little bit more free flowing. What do I need? If it's more of a meditation, if it's more of me just talking to God, if it's me writing out my gratitude list, like I let my soul now guide me because that's where I am in this phase of my life, and just trusting that we are in different phases and transitions. When I was so needing the support in mental health, I needed the very structure, like I'm going to meditate for these 10 minutes, I'm going to do mirror work for 10 minutes, it needed to be that way. But now it's really tuning in, what does my soul need today, and putting that forward. I mean, I always do keep with a few things like grounding into Mother Earth, deep breaths, setting intentions for everyone I'm going to meet in the day, setting intentions for all my clients, past, present, and future, and setting the intention that I'm guided on my highest timeline. Like those stay, but then the rest of it gets to be a little bit more free flowing.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when you have the habit of doing something for yourself in the morning, then you can
Mm-hmm.
really go free flow because then you're already in the habit and you're already
Yeah.
excited to have this time for yourself. But I feel like at the beginning, when you don't have a habit and you just go on with your day and you forget about giving yourself some time, right, for
Yeah.
yourself, for your soul, then I think that it's good to have structure and like rhythm of what you're doing so that you
Yeah.
get into this routine, and then it could be more flexible. So yeah, I
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. I really loved what you
Yes.
shared, and I really love that you're, going free flow, because at the end of the day,
Yes.
yeah, our soul needs best what is the best for us
Mm-hmm.
in this moment. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can just ask, you can really tune in to your heart, to your soul. The most important thing is going to come to you, and then you can just start your day however your soul guides you. So that's so beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And I
Mm-hmm.
also have one question about the difference about the modalities that you're using, because
Mm-hmm.
I had recently had a podcast about the RTT, the rapid transformation therapy,
Yeah.
and I know more or less how it works, but I'm super curious
Mm-hmm.
to know, like, what's the difference between this one and the clinical
Yeah.
hypnotherapy, because like there has have to
Mm-hmm.
be some nuances, right, that are
Mm-hmm.
they are different
Mm-hmm.
methods, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really
Mm-hmm.
curious about what they are, and also if you personally have found that one or the other is more effective, or maybe if you just use them for different
Mm-hmm.
purposes, and like how do
Mm-hmm.
you how do you feel
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. So rapid transformational therapy is a hybrid therapy, including clinical hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. So it combines all of it, which makes it a hybrid approach. I've done just clinical hypnotherapy, but because it's lacking with getting to the root and the intervention, like my clinical hypnotherapy experience was just suggestions, but unless you clear out why your mind is suggesting otherwise to you, it's not as effective or as powerful, right? So when you can combine all of those different modalities and like, okay, what beliefs did this root of event make you believe and think of yourself that you've been carrying with you all this time, that is making you behave and procrastinate, or be unmotivated, or always self-sabotage, or eating, exercise addiction, all these things, these behaviors, the beliefs that lead to them need to be cleared and shifted. And if you're just trying to suggest you don't overeat, you exercise properly for your body, you haven't cleared the beliefs that had led to the behavior. So when you can combine that with clinical hypnotherapy in that theta brainwave state, which is so powerful for shifting your subconscious, and then also using powerful language for your new empowering beliefs, that's where the NLP comes into play. And then with the psychotherapy element is where I infuse the spiritual insights that are empowering and powerful to help shift you, guide you on your path. When you bring all of that together, like that's essentially having like a singer, and you have their choreographer, you have their manager, you have their photographer, you have their social media manager. So now you have all of these to have the singer be as impactful as possible, because you have all those different people supporting you. So that's with all the different modalities in RTT, rapid transformational therapy, and clinical hypnotherapy being one of those in the session itself. Now you have so many more support in the session. So when I compared the two, I was like, whoa, rapid transformational therapy is like the Harvard of clinical hypnotherapy. It just takes it times 100, because pulls in and infuses all the best practices from those different modalities that I had mentioned.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing. So, bottom line, rapid transformational therapy is a higher level in a way, like it goes deeper than
it
clinical
does. Yeah.
hypnotherapy.
Yeah. That's
That's good
a,
to know.
yeah. Yeah. And
Really good.
clinical hypnotherapy is incredible. I'm not talking down on it. That's what really started me in my journey and shifted so much. But it's just like best practices, right? So I was guided. Again, I wasn't even looking for RTT. I was guided to it. And it was like, whoa, like this is such a gift for me to indulge, but then now a gift for me to offer the world.
Beautiful. That's so, so
Mm-hmm.
nice. And I have another question because you said that you had an exercise addiction, right? So I'm
Yeah.
curious to know if you're happy to share what kind
Mm-hmm.
of beliefs or emotions or programs in your
Mm-hmm.
subconscious mind have led you to have this kind of
Mm-hmm.
addiction.
Yeah. The main belief is I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I need to look a certain way for my needs to be met, to feel loved, accepted, like I belong. And those obviously root in childhood, right? These emotions of I'm not good enough the way I am, then making me feel inadequate. So, okay, well, if I work out really, really hard and look a certain way, then I'll get attention, then I'll be loved, then I'll be validated. This is all subconscious, of course. Like, I didn't know that at the time until I did RTT and hypnotherapy to really understand what beliefs were making me do that and have the low self-esteem that I did, because in childhood I was never enough. What I did was never enough. I got 99 on a test. Why wasn't it 100? Looks and appearances was made very like important when I was younger. So growing up, it was like, oh, appearance needs to look a certain way. So if I don't, then I won't be loved, accepted, validated. And this all leading to the exercise addiction. And I don't think people realize your behaviors, your habits, your addictions, your mental health, there is a root. You have beliefs that you are not even aware of subconsciously that are driving you to do that or to not take action. And these old emotions of your needs not being met, if you don't feel good enough, you're going to feel low, you're going to feel down, and your mind's job is to move you away from feeling that way. So it's going to move you towards something else, but you can't replace that. That it's such deep inner work that the world and people need to understand is so important to do for your soul health, for your destiny, for you to feel good.
Mm, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, really, because I feel like it would help people to understand where these things can come from and how
Mm-hmm.
long did it take you to fully get out of it? Because I guess that you started working on yourself and you still had this
Mm-hmm.
addiction. So how long did you, do this work, and how often as well to get out of this addiction?
Yeah. So the beautiful thing about the exercise addiction was I didn't even focus on that. I focused on the chronic anxiety I was experiencing. And everything is connected. Problems hold hands with problems. So I indirectly cleared that exercise addiction because it was very connected to anxiety as well, and me feeling anxious that I'm not good enough, right? So I got to like a very big root, and it pulled out other roots with it. Like think of a tree, like it really cleared that. And I mean, when I started working on the anxiety, how I can explain when you're healing and working through those struggles is it almost is like you start at a level 10 and you're working your way down to 1. So I started moving down from like a 10 to a 9 to an 8, and those big jumps felt like huge. Like I actually thought I was like I'm cured. I've overcome anxiety, because instead of me feeling anxious 24/7, it was only for like hours. But moving down the scale, and I'm still moving down the scale because I'm meeting up with different parts of myself with what I'm doing, that I'm like, oh, didn't realize that made me feel anxious. And oh, didn't realize I had that coping mechanism. So instead of exercise, then it would move into like distracting myself with like social media. It's like, oh, okay, clearing that up. So it, to answer your question in a long-winded, short-winded way, is it was immediate that I experienced shifts, but we change in 3 ways: immediate, incremental, and retroactive ways. And the incremental shifts keep happening, and the nuances and the different layers keep getting wielded out. So immediately felt shifts and continue to feel shifts. And this is 4 years into my journey.
Beautiful. That's so
Mhm.
cool because, like, in 4 years, you can already clear so much. And I can relate to that because I've also been healing my digestive system. And I feel like within 1.5 year of like hardcore inner child and shadow work and, taking different supplements and herbs, because obviously I did it myself. I don't want to go to the doctor. I didn't even go ever with this, but I just, went to naturopaths and healers and so on. But after like 1.5 year or 2 years, I completely like changed everything. And now still from time to time something is coming up and some, tension here and there is coming up, but it's not as big as it was before. And of course it's going to be a lifelong journey. We all know that healing is a never ending journey and we always have more. But I feel like it can give people hope that within a few years, and I say only a few years, because like, if you have a 10 out of 10 pain, let's say, or 10 out of 10 anxiety, and after a few sessions within a month you can go to like 6 out of 10, for example. And I think it's possible because it's a very big change that you can do, because some childhood traumas are so big that they have so much emotional charge behind it and so much pain behind it that after one session you can already change your life completely, I believe. So yeah, it's very, very empowering, I think, to know that like through this work you can literally heal yourself within, I don't know, a few years max, if you actually work on yourself all the time with your emotions and so on. So yeah, thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story. It's really, really
And
great.
even though like it's immediate when you do subconscious work, it's immediate when you do inner child work, like that's immediate like shifts. You'll feel either emotional release or physical release, like you're going to get immediate shifts for sure. And then I feel like eventually it goes from healing and into growth, where it's not like I just have to heal and fix myself. No, you've healed and now you're growing into your next level of self, you're growing to the next version of yourself. So when you grow, there's going to be things to shift and fears to clear. And it's not like, I don't want people to think like, oh, like I'm just broken, I'm going to be broken for my whole life. It's like you go from healing to growing, and now you're growing, and then you go from growing to thriving. And it's just like, it's a beautiful like progression.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so, so much. And I have one last quick question to you. Where could
Yes.
people find you? What's the best way to contact you if they really vibe with your energy and they would like to maybe work with you or see your content?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Maegan Aleece. It's spelled uniquely. So Maegan Aleece. I'm Maegan Aleece everywhere, on Instagram, on YouTube, on my website, meganaleece.com. I just really powerfully feel guided to share insights for free on my platform. So I would love for souls to indulge in and partake in, sacred, very intentional content, which I know you do and you put out. And I don't just create for noise and to add into a noisy space. It's to support, to guide, and to help you along your way, just like I needed at one point in my life. And that's my give back. I want to give back that way.
Oh, that's so, so nice. I can really feel your heart and your pure intention in this. So thank you so, so much for sharing everything and sharing yourself and your beautiful heart and wisdom. And I'm super, super grateful that we got to have this chat.
Me too. Thank you so much for everything you're doing in this world.
Thank you so much for tuning in and awakening to even greater wisdom of the universe with us today. If you'd like to find me, I am the Connection Catalyst on Instagram, and SoulFam Podcast on Instagram is We Are SoulFam. So find us, follow us if you'd like, and stay tuned to the next episode.